Welcome to another module on the inner game, tools that can help you further. And what I would like to introduce is the so-called RET concept. The Rational Emotive Therapy, also called theory. It is a concept that I came across when I was a student by reading a book about this concept, and I was blown away by it. So how does it work? But maybe first a question. When something happens in your life, what goes first? A strong emotion and then some thinking? Or is there first a thought and then emotion and maybe later on also some thinking? So what is first, the emotion or the thinking? Try to give it an answer. And I guess, most of you will say, well, it's something happens, the emotion is there, and then I might think about it, but the emotion is there first. And actually research found something else. It showed that first there's thinking and a thought and a belief, and then there's the emotion. That jump though can be very quick. It can be lightning fast. So that's true, it can be lightning fast, but still there is this underlying belief and thought. So this concept here called RET, they look specifically at the rational versus irrational thinking. And it gives some classification of 4 typical irrational beliefs, the core irrational beliefs. One is under the bucket of demanding. The other one is under low frustration tolerance, and I give an example. The other one is where you make things are awful, or it's awful this and that, and the other one is depreciation. The demanding one is probably best. It's like, I must be treated fairly. I ought to be a good student. I have to do this. I must do this. So it's very demanding. It's a self-demand. It can be to yourself, but also to others. I like to say to another person, I must be treated fairly. And if you treat me unfairly, therefore, blah, 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 this, blah, blah, blah. And then the emotion comes. It can be also a low frustration, tolerance at least. I cannot stand being treated like this. I cannot stand that this happens. I cannot stand that, blah, blah, blah. So this is low frustration. If it happens, it happens. I mean, yes, if somebody is not nice, okay, so be it. It's not pleasant, and you can make that clear. But saying I cannot stand is acting like a prince and princess. Awfulizing, it's awful when I'm not respected, when I'm wrong, when I'm shamed. Look, really, is it awful? Is it really true belief? So these are beliefs that are not true. They are irrational. The same of depreciation. When I fail, it shows that I am a complete failure. When I fail, it shows that I'm an idiot. Oh, I'm blah, blah, this, I am that. So basically, you kick yourself down. And these are all irrational beliefs. And we all have them in one way or another. We're not even aware of them. It happens automatically in the subconscious almost. And when something happens, then the trigger happens, and we get emotional about it. Oh, with self-pity and shame and fear and avoidance. So these are irrational beliefs. And the longer we have these irrational beliefs, the more suffering we have. So therefore, it's always good to do some note-keeping to reflect on, okay, something happened in the past. How did I respond to it? What I was thinking? What are the underlying core beliefs? So how to use this is to observe your thoughts. Maybe after an event, if something happens, say, okay, what were my thoughts? What do I really think? Sit down and reflect on the thoughts you had when that happened. Write them out. And might be fine-tuned. It might be very precise. You say, well, I really don't like this happens. It's almost like a demanding statement, right? So by writing it out, you realize, oh, this is an irrational thought. And then you can start replacing them or rewriting them. And actually, these are demand statements. I demand that. It has to be like this, yada, yada, yada. And you make them more desire statements. Instead of saying, oh, this person has to be correct to me, he needs to be treating me fairly and correctly, then you can say a desire statement is, well, it would be great that people treat me correctly. I really like that people treat me correctly. And if they don't, well, it's a pity, but I can take action on that. I can say, well, I don't like that behavior, and we can negotiate more that. We can influence them even, or give them feedback. But it's a very different statement. So by making them rational, you take a lot of stress out of your life and misery as well. So the benefits of this method is you make desire statements instead of demand statements, and you remove unneeded pressure. If you say to yourself, I have to have a great distinction, I have to have a greatest distinction because my parents are asking that, these are irrational statements. You can say, instead, I really would like to have a great distinction and I'll be working for it. And if I have a little bit lower, fine. I mean, I know where I was. I know I've been working for it. It's a very different place to be with much lesser stress if you change that to, I really would love to have this. I'd like to have this. Instead of I have to, I must, and I ought to. These are really demand statements. So be careful with that. Also, obviously, what is really under your control? If somebody is treating you unfairly, you don't have control over that person. You can, of course, put boundaries, and that's something else. Putting boundaries and saying, hey, this is what I actually, this is the way I like to treat people, and if people don't treat me the same way, then I probably will not have contact with you anymore. That's a boundary. That's something else. But this is about what are your beliefs and what is under your control. So be aware of that. Accept and let go. This is about accepting reality. Instead of trying to make it a mind game where like you create your own matrix in your world, it has to be like this. And after a while, your world is not matching reality anymore. So it's about accepting reality the way it is and let it go. Because you cannot do much about it. You can only do what you're thinking. You can only control or at least access your way of reasoning and thinking. So it's about accepting and letting go of reality. And making your thoughts rational as much as you can. So I hope okay, this is a very quick introduction. It goes way much further than this. But if it triggers you, if you realize, hey, that might be an issue, this might be something you can dive into. To find out, okay, what is happening in my life, how am I looking at things. And that is a great tool to start realizing how much power you have over your own thoughts and how you can rewrite your own thoughts. And therefore you can change your life for the better. So let's go to the next module. See you soon.